to today. The mission remains to inspire financial wellness and give you a financially fit lifestyle. Alive Credit Union and its employees are committed to not only serving their valued members, but also our community here in Northeast Florida. I had a chance to see that commitment firsthand as Alive partnered with our Action Sports Jacks 24/7 team to bring you Armada men's and women's soccer broadcasts. Inside the 18, it is a shot, and it's a goal! Chloe Chivers! And that connection to the community continues with Alive Credit Union's support of the Police Athletic League of Jacksonville. Alive Credit Union's commitment to our community also involves serving the financial needs of all first responders through the recent merger partnership with City and Police Federal Credit Union. Join the community and become a member of Alive Credit Union today. Find out the many ways you can be inspired in financial wellness at alivecu.coop.
Most of us know how to throw. But you need to know what to throw. I'm not talking about footballs, baseballs, softballs. We're talking about those items you need to recycle. Republic Services explains it easy. Recycling simplified. 1. Know what to throw. When in doubt, throw it out. 2. Empty, clean, and dry those materials. It takes an extra minute, but it makes a big difference. And 3. Don't bag it. This makes the recycling process faster and more efficient. This is a look at the Republic Services North Florida Recycling Center. You can make this process even more efficient. By utilizing those 3 steps, Republic Services can help you become a better recycler in your home. Learn more at recyclingsimplified.com.
If you look good, you feel good. And the medical professionals here at Ponte Vedra Vein and Aesthetics are here to make you feel your best. I'm on camera every week, and I have a confession to make. I'm not always confident in my appearance. Can you see my dark circles? Is my makeup highlighting my fine lines instead of covering them up? I question it all. So when I found out about the wide variety of procedures here at Ponte Vedra Vein and Aesthetics, I knew help was just one appointment away. Medical Director Dr. Megan Deacon Casey and her board-certified physicians have been using the latest and cutting-edge technology for the last 10 years, giving men and women their personal confidence boost. From Botox, fillers, Morpheus 8, and so much more. The hardest part was figuring out what I needed. Thankfully, the medical team walked me through what would work best for me through a free consultation. Come look and feel your best with the team here at Ponte Vedra Vein and Aesthetics. Visit them at one of their 2 locations, either over in Ponte Vedra or on the south side.
Coming up on a post-game edition of Club 904, don't just smile because it happened, folks. No, I'm not going to give you that cliche line because you should be a little disappointed after a Jaguars 27-24 loss to the Buffalo Bills in a first-round playoff exit, but you should be encouraged because this time it actually feels sustainable. You're probably tired of hearing that by now, but we're going to give you a place for you to get your takes off, to leave your comments, vent to myself, Brent Martineau. Let's get after it here over the next hour on Club 904. welcome into another post-game edition of Club 904. Unfortunately, the final post-game edition for the 2025 season. Final score, the Buffalo Bills 27, the Jacksonville Jaguars 24. The 8-game win streak comes to a close in the wild card round of the NFL playoffs as Jacksonville, fresh off its 5th division title in franchise history and 3rd in the AFC South, is eliminated in their first game of the postseason. There's a lot to dive into. As Connor wants to know, but shout out to Connor, was on his pod last week as well. Big sad. But I also think, and I know you don't want to think about this right now, there also is a lot of good. And that's part of why we do this show at 9:04 p.m., especially for 1 o'clock kicks like we had today at Everbank Stadium, because then that gives you a little bit of breathing room. It gives you a second to say, you know what? Yeah, players didn't make enough plays today. Perhaps they could have run the ball a little bit more. Perhaps there needs to be a bit more of an emphasis on addressing the pass rush heading into 2026. But ultimately, so much of this has to be viewed through the lens of this is just year one of this administration under Liam Cohen, James Gladstone, and Tony Baselli. And without further ado, let's bring in Action Sports Jack Sports Director Brent Martineau into Club 904. Brent, let me make sure you're in here. Hello, where's Brent? Where's Brent? We're going to make sure Brent gets in here. There he is. Brent, I'm just going to let you get after it in whichever direction you so choose. I kind of let off my opening monologue by saying I traditionally would go cliche, and I would say, don't smile because it's over, smile because it happened. I would tell you you should be upset if you're a Jaguars fan right now, but I also think you can smile a little bit just because you can know that they are equally as upset in that locker room. That was not the sentiment in 2022 in that locker room in Arrowhead Stadium after the divisional loss to the Chiefs. I just reiterated it to Kevin in the other room. I just said, I was like, look, in that locker room, there were tears because the magic carpet ride had come to a close and that group would never be together again. This group won't be together ever again. And perhaps it was just the finality and the shock of the moment, thinking they'd make a deep run. Or perhaps, which I'd like to believe this is the case, it's because this is a group that has now developed a championship mindset and they can't wait to get after it again, looking towards 2026, 2027.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there. And my mind kind of wanders on how exactly to compute it all. I think the finality part being so abrupt was real, and really with an exclamation point on that first play of the last drive, because we just got so accustomed to, first of all, the Jags finding a way to win, but also just in the NFL, they're going to move the ball and they're going to get a chance and there's going to be some drama here. And it was like nothing. And so that was disappointing and just so quickly ended. And I don't know if it's set in even probably with everybody yet exactly how quick that ended because the expectations and hope. I think I like what ETN. I thought ETN was awesome today in the locker room and from that standard and mentality. But also he's like, I'm just in shock. And I think a lot of people are in shock because they thought this football team was good enough. And then the other side of it is like, it's a little bit like I was watching Carolina yesterday. They had a heck of an effort against the Rams and lost. And you're like, you could almost live with it if you're a Carolina fan. I almost sensed like the locker room reaction after that was, hey, we're 8-9. We're steps. We're getting there. We made the postseason. Hell of an effort. Came up short. There was a little bit of that here today in the locker room, if I'm being honest. And I think, like, I get it. I mean, they were 4-13. They're 13-4. This feels like it's building and going somewhere. But then there's the other side of it where it does feel a little bit more to me like 2017 in the AFC Championship game when we sit there in Foxborough and the Jags were 10 minutes away from the Super Bowl. Though that was on a different level, the idea is the opportunity was here, and you had the chance, and you were good enough to maybe make a run at this thing. And I think everybody believed it, not just in the locker room because they've got to believe it. I think we all sensed it. I think the nation was starting to believe it. And so I think that part is where it stings probably the most for everybody tonight, because you don't get those opportunities all the time. You know, everybody talk about Josh Allen. He didn't have to deal with Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow. Guess what? Neither did the Jags. Neither do any of these teams here. So they all had this opportunity if they could get hot at this time of year. And so in some respects, I'm thinking of 2017 and kind of this mix of 2023, Mia, because to me, the number one thing I remember leaving that locker room in 2023 when they lost to Tennessee and then the clean out on Monday was just asking the question, how much do you feel like this was a missed op? You are 8-3. You win one more game. You make the postseason back-to-back years for the first time in 25 seasons. And so I feel that way again here today. I'm just kind of like, how much do you feel like it's a missed op? Because you can't guarantee it's going to be like this next year. You're going to have a first-place schedule. You might get banged up. You might lose some of the games you won. You might not have a home game in the playoffs. So there's all that going on today, I think. I think it's this mix of 17 and 22 and 23 and the Carolina Panthers for me. And I don't know where everybody else sits in that, probably somewhere in a little bit of it all. But I can't say I'm mad. I mean, it was a hell of a season. It was a lot of fun. And it was a good football game. That's what happens. I mean, listen, we knew it. It was wide open. I mean, I knew the Jags could kick off and lose to the Bills easy. And they lost to the Bills. I don't even think they played that bad. I thought they played great, but I don't even think they pissed the game away. I just think they got beat.
This is an interactive program, and so we encourage you to leave comments, leave questions. If you need to get something off your chest, just keep it clean, please, folks. I was on some other live streams earlier and some other podcasts, and we had some Bills fans that infiltrated the YouTube chat, Brent. So hopefully they stay away from Club. Yeah, let's hope they stay away from Club 904. I want to hang on that thought a little bit longer, just because since you brought up the Carolina Panthers, and again, that idea of we fought till the end and we were happy to be here because we were 8-9. And this is a team that was 13-4 and wasn't just happy to be here. And that's, again, maybe I'm looking at this way too glass half full, but that is where I have optimism, because I left 2022, and maybe you felt differently in 2017, but I left 2022 feeling like they were happy to be there. And I didn't. And I think in 2023, you had a team that, quite frankly, got ahead of its skis and was reading its press clippings. I think that nationally, the Jaguars may get a bit more respect. And I was scrolling the timeline before we came on the air, and I certainly saw a lot of national pundits who said, hey, Jacksonville, don't panic. You've got a team. There is something here this time. And do I think those same people are going to be questioning the Jaguars and picking the Texans to win the division in August? Absolutely. And that's where 2023 and 2026 are about to be different. Because that is where this is a group that, because they take everything personally, kind of like the 2017 group, but maybe not as, violently, perhaps, or at least, outlandish and brashly. But because this is a group that internalizes, and because this is a group that has that growth mindset of process over result and process over assignment, that's where I just come back to, I think it's more sustainable. And to your point, horrific injuries could happen. Go back to 2018, the awful injury luck the Jaguars had. But I also think in 2018, you could make the argument that it was kind of built on a house of cards, kind of like 23 and 24, where you were banking on Blake Bortles having another euphoric back-to-back season. I think statistically speaking, and I saw some people in some other YouTube streams and podcasts that were still yelling about Trevor Lawrence. I don't know how you could question Trevor Lawrence. Look, you could question him for his performance today. And Brent and I will do that here with you guys. So leave a comment, leave a question. But I don't think you could question oh, he's a bust at this point after what we just saw over the last 2 months. And so that's where I just look at this. And again, maybe I'm doing it to sunshine and rainbows and what have you. But again, I just left that locker room today feeling like this is a group that now they're mad. And I didn't sense that in 23. They were shocked. In 22, they were happy to be there. And unfortunately, those are the only 2 real playoff runs that I've covered in my 7 years here. So, that's just my personal take on it. But to the Trevor part of it all, let's segue to that before we get to some questions. Your thoughts, Brent, on the quarterback who today was 18 of 30 for 207 yards, 3 passing touchdowns, 2 interceptions, had 6 carries for 31 yards on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's easy to say it wasn't good enough. I mean, I think that's fair enough. I also just think the cool part about Trevor is, and we're sitting there in the press box and saying this a little bit, he doesn't flinch. He doesn't blink. He'll throw a pick and come right back. He still wants the ball in his hands. Those are all good things that are probably going to pay off. He definitely took a huge step. He's the guy. He feels like the guy. I thought he maybe felt like the guy too much today, where I'm wondering if he's the guy changing plays at the line and not running the ball as much as he could have, because he's got the hot hand. And I thought it was going to be the mystery of the day is, are they going to give it to Trevor who's hot, or are they going to run the ball because they can't stop it? And I think we're all sitting here today and saying they probably should have run the football a little bit more. But the bottom line is, and I'm not going to disagree with what everybody's saying, is Trevor, with them down 13-10 in the fourth quarter, touchdown. They give up the lead, touchdown, and now we're going back and forth with the reigning MVP and a guy who's become one of the most elite players in the league. And we're matching wits here in Jacksonville with Josh Allen. And it's unfortunate the last one because it would have been nice to get something going and an opportunity, because then I don't think anybody's saying anything about Trevor, right? If you get that, and it just didn't happen. So, I'm not down on Trevor at all. I think he played pretty well when it really mattered the most. And I really thought their defense won the day. So at the end of the day, for me, I try to simplify the NFL a lot. I did this a lot when Doug was around, especially in 22 and 23, when they were going pretty well. And I thought McDermott and Josh Allen did better than Liam Cohen and Trevor Lawrence. That's it. Jags lose by 3.
And that's, I think, a tough pill for many to swallow, this thought of their head coach, who many believe is the coach of the year in the NFL, got out-coached by someone who is, in some fans' eyes, on the hot seat. I don't think in either of our eyes. Greg
He's
McDermott
99
and
50 in his career.
Yeah, exactly. I'm getting my basketball and my football confused now. Sean McDermott was ever on the hot seat, in my opinion, or your opinion, but let the folks who thought that think that. And I think it's okay to say, in his first game as a head coach in the playoffs, Liam Cohen got out coached. It sucks. And he'll be the first one to tell you that it sucks. But reality is the best teacher, or experience is the best teacher, is it not? And that I agree with you. I think that's the reality, is they got out coached, and he's going to go to his grave saying they needed to go for it on 4th down. So I don't think you, me, Prisco, anybody saying he should have taken the points, that's not going to change, because, and I give Liam credit for this, he is being his authentic self, and that is what he has preached to his players, and that is who he is, and he's going to go down swinging with those analytics.
Yeah, people don't like to hear this part of it. I mean, take that play, take the first touchdown, I think it was, for Josh Allen on a 3rd down, where he just in the end zone. Take the 4th and inches that you have got lined up. There were several close spots in this football game that went one way or another. I mean, it was truly like this tight margin game, where just one thing here or there, and sometimes Jags got a break, like a drop ball down the middle of the field. I think it was Cooks. Can't remember now. But late in the half, where that would have been 3 more points for Buffalo. And, here's I make sense of the whole 4th and 2 by doing this. Well, they had a first down for a moment, and they're about to put the game away. Would I have liked to see them take the points? I think we said in real time, I'm like, playoff points seem to matter to me, but I might just be the old guy, not ready to move with Dan Campbell and the rest of the league that we're seeing this week. It would have been nice to do. And the way it turned out, it obviously would have been significant. But those same people that would have kicked that field goal would never sit at their own 3-yard line with about 30 seconds to go in the half and put their quarterback back there to pass and end up with a field goal try from 54 yards, the way that all went down. And if they do make that field goal, and Cam Little makes that field goal a lot, it washes completely the whole 4th and 2 situation. Yes. So my only reason for the 4th and 2 that I wish is, and I just said it today in the Chargers game, happened. It's like, if you get a turnover, you want to make sure that means something. If you don't get it on 4th down and you get 0 points, that means the turnover didn't mean anything. And
Liam has said, by the way, sorry to cut you off, but Liam has said momentum is real. And that was a momentum swing that the Jaguars never really got momentum back until the 3rd quarter.
Yeah, they didn't. And again, it shifted a couple of times, and that was cool that they did get it back. But that's where I come in on that. I get everybody's going to go for it. I understand the reasoning for going for it. I understand that's who you are, be who you are. That's cool. But I just think when you get a turnover, you've got to make it count. And even Buffalo didn't make it fully count when they got the pick from Trevor, but they got 3. So now you can wash that clean if you go get 3. And that means you're even again. So that's where I would mostly have a little bit of a qualm with what Cohen did in that spot, because it wasn't just like they had driven down the field, tried to go for it on a 4th and 2. It was more that they were trying to capitalize on a mistake and at least make them pay by 3. Yeah, I'd love to make it 4. But again, who the hell would really go for it on your own 3-yard line? They almost turned that into points. That was nuts that they even put it in Trevor's hands, and they almost delivered. And that would have been very controversial, by the way. That would have been a bigger play nationwide. that the Jags even got the kickoff, because I'm not sure they should have either. And then Cam missed it. So again, it's such a close margin game, and that's what we're seeing in the league. We see in the league every week, but we don't want to admit it until this time of year as much. Look at these games, and Jags just lost a good NFL football game today. They were on the wrong side of it.
Let's get to some of your questions. Nate asked earlier, the Bills averaged 7 yards a passing play. In what ways did Liam get out-coached? I would say to that, Nate, I thought that, first and foremost, Sean McDermott's a defensive guy. So the disguises that Trevor, again, I think he was forthright in the post-game presser that, yeah, they got him a couple of times, especially on that first interception. And I know that it's not a murderer's row amongst the number one passing defense in the NFL with no Maxwell Harrison, but those are players that have played together. That core has been together for the last 4 or 5 years, and Sean McDermott trusts and knows that personnel inside and out. And I think that whether you like him or not, whether you think he's mid or he's a top 10 coach, I think that especially in the fourth quarter, they are able to get into a quarterback's head, if nothing else. So that's where I think they got out coached. I think that if we're looking at this as Sean McDermott defense, Liam Cohen offense, that's where I mean that he got out coached, to be fair. And I think Brent, you would agree with that. Yeah,
I think you're right. I mean, I think that's where, and not by like this landslide either. I just think the chess match, I think, went in the favor of McDermott, especially in the first half. And then Cohen flipped it a bit, and they were able to figure it out. But at the same time, we're not sitting here questioning much of what McDermott did. Instead, we're questioning, should Liam and Trevor or whoever's making those calls, should they have run the ball more? I mean, that is a fair.
Oh, and there it
guess,
is. Because
right?
that's what the comments are going crazy right now about the running discrepancy.
But that's why, like that. I mean, that's a big question. It's not even the point. So that's one talking point. It's the chess match against the defense, offensive guy, defensive guy. But it's really comes down to the biggest second guess. I mean, and it's a fair second guess. This will be something that they will think about. Should they have run the ball more? And I mean, the obvious answer is yes, because you lost. I thought all week that the Jags would have to score north of 27 points to win. It turns out I was probably right. But I think when they hold the Jags to just 24 points, I think you got a hat tip to McDermott. They were averaging 33 over the last 2 months. So to me, again, this wasn't like, oh my gosh, he got totally outcoached. He's outclassed. He's terrible. This was just in a game of margins. I think McDermott kind of won the chess match a little bit.
To the run game of it all. Travis Etienne, 10 carries for 67 yards, 6.7 yard per tote average. Bashal Tutin, 4 carries, 51 yards, 12.8 yards per carry against the 31st ranked run defense in the NFL. I respect, again, as we're talking about Liam Cohen being authentic, Brent, I respect that you dance with the girl that got you to the prom, or however you're to the guy that got you to the, however you want, whatever the saying is. I respect that Trevor Lawrence's arm and that passing attack is what was largely the catalyst for the 8-game win streak, especially here in the last month. And so they wanted to die with, go down swinging with the passing game. And I respect that. But at the same time, that's where adaptability, in-game adjustments, something that this entire staff, both offense, defense, and special teams for that matter, has prided itself on all year. I just did not see the adjustment made. And it's insane. Not insane. That's too hyperbolic of a word, but it's wild to think that when this team began the year, there was this sense of our identity is the run game, physicality in the trenches, and Trevor is coming along and it's going to help him maximize his skill set. And then today, the run game receives, I think Trevor technically had 2 or 3 designed runs, but I think that was a call at the line of scrimmage, which I'll get your take on that, since a lot of the folks, especially Lil Big Man in the chat, are asking about those changes at the line of scrimmage. Trevor had 6 carries, and I think 4 of the 6 were scrambles and 2 were maybe design runs. And you got 2 carries for Parker, 1 for LeQuint. So that gives you a grand total of 19 plus, we'll give you 2. So that's 21 carries to 30 dropbacks, which isn't an awful discrepancy. But again, if you go back to the Chargers game, if you go back to the Carolina game, where they knew they could run and they did run. So that was a little surprising to see today.
Yeah, I thought I actually think, like, you could look at this game, right, and take away the score and everything else and be like, hey, they were pretty balanced, overall. Today, to me, like, that's balanced in today's day and age.
Mm-hmm.
But I just felt like they were kicking their ass on both sides of the ball physically. I thought they were punishing Josh Allen on defense. I thought they were hammering guys like on tackles. I thought they were a physical football team. Even when Josh made good plays, he got hit on a couple of plays. So, and then offensively, they were just manhandling them in the run game. I mean, all you got to do is look at the numbers. So kind of to what you were referencing, I think they had a little bit of an identity crisis, and it was my number one question all week was, what are they going to do? Are they going to run, or are they going to put it in the hot hand of Trevor? I think it was a real conundrum for Cohen, because which one do you do? Your quarterback is playing so well, yet they stink against the run. And they ran again. It's not like they didn't. It just felt like they could have more. And even – I mean, I don't know. I mean, they scored 2 touchdowns, though, in the fourth quarter. So, like, what do you – I get it. Like, he could sit here and argue with us. But there were just times in the game where I'm like, why aren't they running outside? Like, they cannot stop the outside run. They were not – there were times where, like, the whole left side of the field was just vacant for the Bills. And then they never really went back out there. So even when some of the pass stuff worked, I still felt like they weren't running enough in the game. And some of that could come down to – clock, right? You roll the clock a little bit more. Maybe they don't get as much time at the end. Their defense was on the field for quite a bit in this game. They lost time of possession. They usually win time possession. And so for me, it kind of goes back to, it's like, I thought this might be the Chargers game. I thought they could pound them,
Same.
and just say, hey, we are more physical. And when you're physical and more physical than the other team in the playoffs, you usually win. And I thought they tried to play the finesse game with them a little bit, just to be balanced and stuff. And so I think it was a hard choice. I really do. I wrestled with it all week. I bet they wrestled with it all week. And I think at the end of the day, because they lose, it's fair to say they didn't run it enough. Bashal Tutin didn't have a touch in the second half. He was like on fire on that drive. So –
and he was on the field. It wasn't like because like someone was tweeting and mentioning me, and they're like, "Where's Tutin? Is he hurt?" And I'm like, "No, he's on the field." Yeah.
So it's weird, right? Because they scored 17 points. No, they scored I think 17 points in the second half, and they have the fourth quarter. So it's not like they didn't put together drives. So it's just a weird one, but I think it's clear as day. It's like, oh yeah, man, it felt like should have ran more. And I don't know what that does to pay dividends, whether it's early on or later in the game or what. But I will tell you, I even thought, I mean, we do this real time. You're like, oh my gosh, they're passing again. Why is he passing? They just ran it for 25 yards down to the 20. Why are you dropping back? And I think it might have been, it's fair to go look at the sequence of getting into the 4th and 2 where they don't get it because they probably threw it too much to get the 4th and 2. If they just run it 4 times, they're in the end zone probably, right? So it felt like that kind of day, like a Chargers kind of day. And I thought they might even just say, we're just going to run it all day. And they didn't run it all day. They were in it just like 40% of the time.
For the sake of time, let's flip it on over to the defensive side of the ball for the Jaguars. This one's from Clay Brent. Lack of a pass rush with 4 has been our Achilles heel all season long. I would echo that sentiment, but this is where I go back to my opening monologue where I said that yes, you can be frustrated. Yes, you can leave angsty emojis in the comments. Like so many of you are keeping it clean and we're loving it because we want to give you this space to sound off, to ask questions. And that's okay. It's okay to be frustrated. But at the same time, there is something to be said and time will tell. As James Gladstone himself said, time will tell. There is an argument to be made that this is the worst roster Liam Cohen will ever coach in Jacksonville. And they just don't have the horses for course yet. And I thought that Anthony Campanelli would blitz Josh Allen more in the second half. I did. And you barely saw any blitzing. And that was a bit surprising. I'll go through the numbers, which shout out to Sumer Sports because their new interface is awesome. And I'm really excited to dive into that more post-game too. But like that, I was surprised that you didn't see more blitzing, that you didn't see more disguises or just changing it up. But guys in the locker room told me this week, Brent, that this, again, just like with the pass game, I had multiple defensive players who said, it's gotten us this far, so we're just going to keep doing what we're doing on defense.
Yeah, I think I didn't hate their defensive performance today, and I know it comes up short in the fourth quarter, but I mean, all you do is watch all these games. Everybody's giving up points in the fourth quarter right now, and I would say a little bit of that. At one time, I looked up, it was 29-21 with 10 minutes to go in terms of time of possession. I think the Jags went on that pretty good drive, but still overall, I think 33 minutes or something for Buffalo. So that's just too long probably to be out there and maybe get a little tired. I really think at the end of the day, the secondary, it bit them. The injuries to the secondary, where guys have filled in admirably and done well, I think it bit them. I wonder if Jarian Jones missed some practice the last couple of days, tweaking an ankle last week. Did that catch up with him because he didn't have his best day?
He was, by the way, like I won't, for HIPAA reasons, like I won't reveal, but like Jarian was very, very sick this week, folks. Like, trust me when I say that. Like it was bad.
Even on Friday, you could tell he was still not feeling great. So, and that's part of this time of year too. But I'm just saying, he had played so wonderfully until today, where I don't even know if he played bad. It's just I think the numbers aren't going to show well. Daniel Griffiths put out some numbers and it wasn't great. And then Newsome. But I just wonder if they caught up to him. I didn't look at this as like, they couldn't get home with 4. I thought Josh Hines Allen hit Josh Allen a few times. Like I didn't think he was standing back there all day. I didn't think that was a problem. I think
there was a lot of hate for Trayvon on the streets of Twitter. I'm not really sure why. Like,
I didn't hear Trayvon's name too much. He had a nice tackle on James Cook. He probably was good in the run game because they didn't do anything in the run game. So he usually is. But yeah, I would put this a little bit more on the secondary. And really at the end of the day, I'm waiting for the Jags to make one big play because they always do. And in this game, they didn't. To me, it's as simple as that. Instead, they gave up the one big play. And that was on a play where Josh Allen got whacked and Newsome let him go, and there was a miscommunication. So, I mean, outside of that, let's say they don't give up that play. I mean, you're talking about 20 points and maybe getting off the field, and it's fine. So it's really that one play to me that sticks out. And I thought they were going to make a play. They didn't make a play. Instead, they missed the play. And again, as I keep saying, that's the difference in the football game today.
To that point, though, I feel like in 22, we were waiting for the play. Like the players themselves were waiting for it. I think if you talk to those guys right now, they would say we did not make the play. And again, I'm grasping at straws, but verbatim, Josh Hines Allen said to us back in 2022, he was like, we were waiting. And then in 2023, especially, he said, we were waiting for the magic to come and save us, and it didn't. And this group would tell you it wasn't magic. We just did not execute. Those stats you referenced from our friend Dan Griffiths, Jarian Jones gave up 7 catches on 8 targets for 78 yards. Greg Newsome allowed 6 catches on 6 targets for 74 yards and a touchdown. So obviously not.
Yeah, I mean, got beat by guys like Brandon Cooks and stuff, right? I mean, that's just, they don't have a Shakir's good. But outside of that, and there were some nice throws, but hey, here's the other part about the defense. They didn't get torched by the tight ends. We were really concerned. I thought it was a good plan against the tight ends because they had to throw everything to the outside, and Allen's good at it with his rifle arm. And then they made a couple of the big plays, the pump fake touchdown, and obviously the one thrown up. But he really didn't get the ball down the field very much in this game. Like they weren't getting torched. Everything was kind of right in front of them, got off the field in some big third downs early in the game that I thought was a huge stop at the end of the first half because that would have been a field goal and then get the ball back and maybe take a 2-score advantage by the middle of the third quarter. They didn't allow that to happen. There were a lot of good things. It just didn't make the one big play when it mattered the most. And can argue the offense didn't either. So put it on whoever you want to put it on. That's why you lose the game.
Couple more comments, Brent, before we send you off to the TV side of things at Action Sports Jacks. Avery was mad that we buried the lead, not talking about Greg Newsome and Walker Little, the 2 biggest liabilities today. Well, Avery, we, number 1, just talked about Newsome. Number 2, you also wanted me to know that I'm not a medical professional. You are not bound by the rules of HIPAA. Who's to say I'm not a doctor, as a little big man says. Hey, yo, Dr. Mobryan, Professor Mobryan. Who's counting? I don't actually have my doctorate. My mom's a dentist, though. Walker Little, though, offensive line. Did you think it was as much of a liability outside of those 2 penalties, which, by the way, I believe that were the Jaguars' only accepted penalties on the day? If anything, Brent, like I was more discouraged by, because you moved Walker Little to left tackle, which was necessitated because Cole Van Lannon could not go. Then you put Macari at 80% health, 90% health, good enough to play, didn't have an injury designation, but has been bothered by that back injury the last few weeks. You put him at right guard. At some point in the second half, like, I mean, he's struggling on every play. Like, to me, that's where you put Wyatt Milam in. And now, well, yes, you're rolling with a 3rd-round rookie. You drafted him in the 3rd round. Like, I mean, now because you moved Walker Little, where he had been so successful in the run game the last 2 weeks at right guard, or especially last week, but that's where I think, I don't know, he's gonna get an unfair shake either way, just because this fan base has decided how they feel about 72.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't think that he was the liability in this.
Yeah, I was surprised to see all that, and then I think we keep coming back to, all right, he's just gonna.
Fans have made their decision for whatever the reason.
Yeah, we had Mitch Morse on the show on Friday, and he said it's unfair, the criticism to Walker Little. He has not been as bad as what people are saying. And I mean, again, that's a former teammate. I get some of that, but I didn't see it today. I'm like, wait a minute, Trevor's not getting hit left and right. Like, he's got time. I didn't really think that was any of the issue, but I kept seeing it on my timeline. And I'll give you this. Here's the other thing. The first false start penalty was not on him. It was Trevor was about to get a delay of game. That's why he jumped, because he had to go. Like, that was Trevor. He was way late on the play, and it wasn't on Walker Little. Now, he jumped on the other one, but yeah, people are all over Walker Little. I did not see that. Maybe there will be numbers that will showcase that he played terrible. I didn't see that. Like, that was not what I saw. And then Newsome wasn't great when he came over from the Jags. I think he kind of admitted it when I talked to him in the locker room today. It's like, it took me a while to get going and get settled into the defense and the new players. And I don't think that worked like, say, Jacoby Myers worked, right? Like, it's boom, instant, and we saw it. And I don't know how bad Newsome was. I thought he had some good games. I think today it's just kind of a bit of an eyesore because it looks like it was his fault. Maybe it was his fault, but there was definitely something on the communication front that didn't work on the one big play. And he gave up some others, obviously. And I don't think he'll be back here. Jags need to upgrade that spot, or maybe they plug Travis Hunter in there. But listen, this is not a perfectly assembled team. The Jags have had to replace guys. They've had to fill in gaps. And I just don't look at this game and be like, wow, there's one player at fault for this game. Jags had a bunch of opportunities to make this go the other way and didn't, because if you're going to blame just Newsome or Walker Little, then, I mean, I guess you got to blame Cam Little a little bit too. And he missed his first kick in forever. And I'm not doing that either. It was a 54-yard kick on a breezy day, and he didn't make it. He kicked it well, just went a little wide left. Again, sometimes this is sports and we just don't want to admit it.
That also was a kick that, again, like you said, if he had made it, people would be talking about whether or not he even should have had that opportunity to attempt that 54-yard field goal if there was actually time on the clock. True. By the way, my mom says, I am listening. You lived in a dental office too long, referencing HIPAA. But according to the commenters on YouTube, I'm in the right. So whatever, we're going to roll with it. Brent, before we go, you referenced Travis Hunter. A lot of comments about him specifically playing corner next year. There will be a time and a place for Brent and I to debrief the 2026 season. That time is not right now. We're debriefing this playoff loss. And to that end, Brent, what for you, as we put a bow and we send you off before we hear from some of the guys in the locker room, what is your prevailing sentiment, and maybe it'll change in 24 hours time as you look ahead now to that 2026 offseason?
Hadn't really thought about it yet. Listen, I thought this was a lot of fun. I mean, what the hell? I'll say it. I'm not glad it's over. It's definitely disappointing because you had the opportunity, and it would have been fun for another. I loved watching this place come to life, and it was cool. But I mean, this was fun, and you don't get a chance to enjoy like 13-4 and what they did. I thought it was a good football game today. I thought everything about it was what the NFL playoffs are and what this league is, and again, Jags just came out on the wrong side of the scoreboard, and we'll pick it apart because that's what we do. So, yeah, I think this was a cool season. And now really what I turned my attention to, because I thought they would have success this season. I didn't think they would do this, 13 wins. But I actually think we could have envisioned a spot where they got into the playoffs and lost in the first round, right? Or if you really go back to August or go back to April or June, that's probably what we would have been happy with. Get to the playoffs, losing the first round, that's a nice step. Now, the way it all manifested, not so much. But now the big thing happens, because this is what this franchise hasn't done. I've been here 18 years. Can you win 2 years in a row? Can you sustain it? The best they've been able to do is a year and a half, 22-23, and it all fell apart in December, and that's it. So now that's what these guys are tasked with. That's what we're going to talk about a lot going forward. Baselli, Gladstone, Cohen. Can they be right back here next year? And then we can complain about a loss or whatever, but getting back here, back-to-back years to the postseason would be a monumental thing, in my opinion, for this franchise if the Jags can do that next year. And to me, that's where my eyes now turn to say, okay, these guys look like they're the right fit. There's a lot of great things to talk about, but you got to sustain it. You've got to be a perennial contender. That's the idea. And you're about to go into some very good years for your quarterback, especially with what he's coming off in the second half of the season. So that's where my mind goes next, and what these guys do to get the roster better and everything else. And we'll find out, but we're going to have to wait a while.
Liam Cohen was hired January 24th last year. James Gladstone was hired February 21st of last year. They did not get that jump start to the offseason that so many other teams do. And that's what gives me hope, Brent, as we now look forward to what is to come in year 2 of this new triumvirate at the helm of your Jacksonville Jaguars. I know your opinion and your sentiment may change, which is why we have Brent and Austin in the morning, right? 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Yeah, we could see what Austin's going to try to convince me of. I bet tomorrow, I'll give you a heads up tomorrow morning, he's probably going to talk about a little bit of an identity crisis with this football game. With whether you pass it or run it. But we'll do that tomorrow, 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. We'll keep talking about it. Hopefully everybody joins us. Thanks for following along. And tonight, Action Sports Jacks primetime, 10:30 on Fox 30. We've got a lot more reaction to all of this. If you haven't heard some of the players in the locker room, I thought ETN was really good. We hear from Newsome about the play, by the way, too. And obviously Trevor and Liam Cohen.
And of course, the Jaguars will also be available tomorrow, locker room clean out. And so I know Action Sports Jacks will have you guys covered. I'll be posting all that good stuff as well in conjunction. And so keep it locked here, folks. It's over, but it's not over because there's still a lot more to come in 2026. Brent, appreciate you hopping on each and every Sunday for the post-game edition. And what's funny, folks, is Brent and I keep saying, yeah, we got to start mapping out what's Club 904's off-season schedule going to look like. We're going to do that at some point, probably this week. And then
now we can get to it.
You guys will have a schedule in place.
Yeah, we can get to it now. But it's been fun. It's been good. Just a cool part of our expanded coverage here on the network. So good work. And I'm assuming we'll see you Tuesday on Club 904.
Yes, you will indeed. We'll be emptying the notebook, and maybe Austin's going to want to hop in. He's probably still going to have a lot of emotions he needs to get off, so let him know. He's always welcome.
All right, we'll do. Have a good night.
Thanks, Brent. There he goes. And, of course, you can catch him over on Action Sports Jacks momentarily on the TV side of things. We still have to head into the locker room here on this Sunday postgame edition of Club 904. First up, a guy who, if I told you in August he would be the Jaguars' leading receiver in 2025, you probably would say, who got hurt? Why did Parker Washington have 300-plus yard games in the final 4 games of the season, including a playoff game? But that is indeed the world we live in. Here is the Penn State product and third-year receiver following today's game.
Work, be intentional each day. It's been cool to see that pay off, and we just hope that continues to take me forward in the right direction. And I just want to keep whatever team, Jaguars, whoever I play for, in all my career, I just want to put my best foot forward each day. And it's been cool to do that for Trev. I just want to continue to build that connection with him.
The end is always sudden. How would you describe what the locker room is like when you guys got in there?
It was tough. Yeah. But we didn't disconnect right when we walked in or anything, so that was the cool part. We've been having each other's back since the start of this season, and we're just going to continue to carry that into the off season, and just keep working. I love this group; it's been special. We're excited to keep working like always.
Is there something to be said, Parker, that maybe already there's a fire lit under this group?
That's what we talk about, being like our edge. Tough we fell short, but we knew how special this team is, and we're just gonna carry that into this off season. For me, I just want to keep working, continue to get better, and come back ready to roll.
In terms of some of the struggles on offense, was there anything they did that really had you guys struggling in the first half in particular?
Well, for me, I wasn't out there much in the first half, but that was a good defense, I feel like they did a really good job with disguising looks. You didn't know if they were spinning down to one high, spinning out to two. They did a good job with that, and it got me on a couple plays. But I feel like we answered when we needed to, and we fell short a little bit, but it'll be okay.
How hopeless is it in the last couple of minutes with that guy on the other side and they've got the football? How tough of a spot is that to be in?
I mean, we know that's a elite offense, elite quarterback, but we trusted our defense to the end. They did a great job. I feel like just with the score of the game, I mean, they did what they were supposed to. We had a pretty good game on offense. We had a couple mistakes. But, somebody had to walk out here with the win. Sucks we fell short, but we're going to continue to roll, continue to get better, and let's do it.
The way you guys have been rolling, how confident were you going out there with a minute to go? And then how quickly it just ends, how abrupt is that?
Yeah, that's tough, 'cause I'm thinking we're all the confidence through the roof, like always, and I feel like that's what's kept us going this whole season, and like I said, that's going to be a good edge for us coming in next year for sure.
Sorry if you've asked it before, but when you think about going back to last year and where you are this year, how proud are you of this football team?
Man, it's everything, I'm just seeing it just hit a big 360. It's been so cool to be a part of. I'm excited for this group, because it doesn't stop now. We're going to continue to build, continue to have some fun, and we're just going to work this offseason and come back and see where we're at.
We know he will chop wood, carry water. That growth mindset mentality will carry the Jaguars moving forward. Let's take one more break. When we return, we'll let you guys hear from Devin Lloyd, of course, a pending free agent as of this writing. Yikes. And then Dewan Smoot, the longest tenured Jaguar. This is Club 904 post-game edition. One more segment to go. Keep it right here on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
You don't see a pit, it ain't legit. When you hear that, you think Bono's Pit Barbecue, a staple in Northeast Florida now for 75 years. A place that feels like home with friendly service, a meeting place for friends, family, or business occasions. On the menu, the corn nuggets are a favorite in our house, but there's something for everyone. Sandwiches, platters, salads, sides, desserts, and family feasts. You see Bono's all over the place in Northeast Florida. There are almost 20 locations in the Jacksonville area now, so stop on by, sit down, and dine in with Bono's. You can also take it to go. There are drive-thrus in many of the locations, and they have delivery options too. Just download the Bono's app to make things easy. I signed up for the loyalty program, and you can too, to get special offers. If Jacksonville is home, few things feel more Jacksonville than Bono's Pit Barbecue. Celebrate 75 years and many more to come. Bono's Pit Barbecue. If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
Choose your own adventure. It's not just a saying, but a way of life here at Cycles of Jacksonville. And whether it's 2 wheels or 4 wheels, at Cycles of Jacksonville, a great adventure awaits. With brands like Honda, Vespa, Segway, and Triumph, Cycles of Jacksonville has you covered with their inventory featuring a 60,000 square foot building. If 4 wheels is more your thing, check out the largest selection of Honda Talons in the entire county. No matter what you're looking for, Cycles of Jacksonville is going to have the selection you need, all with great financing and rebates. Plus, if you're active duty military, Cycles of Jacksonville will offer you 0% financing along with great discounts for military and first responders. And when you want to get off the road and set sail, Cycles of Jacksonville has you covered with everything you need to get on the water. So if you're ready for a great adventure, let Cycles of Jacksonville be your guide. Located off Atlantic Boulevard, or check out their website at cyclesofjacksonville.com.
Nobody but Nimnicht. Our family has purchased 6 vehicles from Nimnicht Buick GMC. The #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville has lots of inventory to choose from with their best price guarantee. Who gives you top dollar for your trade? Nobody but Nimnicht. Save up to $10,000 off select new GMC Sierras or get rates as low as 1.9%. I'm a truck guy. GMC Sierra, my trim level is an SLT. This one's an Elevation. Pretty good looking color as well. So here at Nimnicht Buick GMC, you have a lot to pick from. My father-in-law, he drives this, an Enclave, so I feel like that GMC in the family. 2025 is coming around the corner, which means it's almost time to close out those 2024s this summer. You can schedule a test drive at NimnichtBuickGMC.com. And while you're there, check your trade value and customize your payment options. Nimnicht is there for you, even on Sundays. So, who has put in the most years and stands behind a better experience? The answer's simple. Nobody but Nimnicht. Your friends in the car business since 1941. GMC. We are professional grade.
One segment to go here on this final 2025-2026 post-game edition of Club 904. Let's quickly head back into the locker room before we answer your questions live here on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. Let's begin with Devin Lloyd, the Jaguars' fourth-year linebacker, who, yes, fifth-year option not picked up. Will he be re-signed? Will he not? His impressions after the Jaguars' devastating loss to the Buffalo Bills today. Here is Devin Lloyd.
Around yourself when you took that jersey off, that maybe the last time? Yeah.
I'm not even thinking about any of that. Just a tough one. Just gonna try to cope with losing this, you know.
The last thing for me, 3rd and long, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8. How much you guys want to think about those plays?
Yeah, it was tough. We got them in the right situation, so gotta just close out the drive, finish the series.
Thank you.
With this one, Devin, it's a different outcome than 22 in terms of where you guys were in that playoff run. This one, perhaps maybe there's an extra sense of motivation, perhaps in this locker room, because it didn't end with that, well, we lost to the Chiefs. With this one, it's really maybe a little bit more disappointing.
I think they're all disappointing, no matter who you face, especially, as a home playoff game against a good team. We had an opportunity to win it at the end on defense, and you just look back, and I think defensively, we're going to watch the film, and collectively, we're going to want a lot of plays back. You got to find a way to close out these games, but, we had a great season. Unfortunately, that doesn't make you feel better because you want to win the whole thing, so just one of those things.
What's the message from Coach post-game?
He's just proud of everybody for the way we fought, the way everybody attacked the process, attacked this whole season, and obviously disappointed. Everybody's going to be disappointed, for not finding a way to win this game. But at the end of the day, the special team and did a lot of great things, and the future's bright.
How proud are you of where this team was 365 days ago, where it is today?
Yeah, I'm definitely proud of just seeing everybody grow, seeing everybody come together. Obviously, the pieces that we added. We've come a long way, and the future's bright, like I said.
Thanks to Devin for catching up after that 27-24 loss. At least by my count, he was the final Jaguar, or at least among the final Jaguars who remained in the locker room, and we'll see. We'll see if he is back in Duval next year. Let's hear from someone else whose contract does expire, but it feels like you can't get rid of him. And as he's about to tell you, even if he's not in a Jaguars uniform, you will be hearing from Dewan Smoot one way or another. But I had to ask the longest tenured Jaguar how this one compared to those two previous playoff runs in Jacksonville that he was a part of. I asked you, since you were the only one who was here in 2017, is there something to be said when you were in this locker room immediately following this playoff loss that there was a different fire than maybe in 22 when you lose to the Chiefs or 2017 when you lose to the Patriots?
Yeah, it's a lot to look forward to. It's an unbelievable team. It's unbelievable things this year. So we're going to have a good team moving forward for years to come. A lot of guys are young, a lot of guys in their prime. And it's going to be a special thing for sure.
Just hearing those DBs on the other side right now, they're already talking about where they need to improve, what playoff football is. It's probably cliche. I know there's a lot of people online right now who are like, you can't just assume next year you're going to be there. Yeah. But it does feel like already this group is moving on to next year and starting to think about that.
Can't help yourself. We just went 13-4. It's hard to not think that, we're going to be back. It's very hard, one, to get in. Very hard to continue to get in, but I feel like we got a really good chance.
From Liam and camp post-game, what you can share in terms of their message to you guys?
Just proud at the end of the day. The season that we put together for the city, the season that we put together for each other, and the trust we had for each other this season, it was everything. So, it's all good words, definitely looking forward to the future.
What's your message as the longest tenured Jag here to the fans out there who are going to say like, or to the national people who will say this is the same old Jags?
It was a blessing to be here for years and years. I'm hoping I'll come back, but I love Duval, and look out for Smoot in the future doing things in the community.
There we go. What do you say to the national folks who are going to look at this result and they're going to say this is the same old Jags?
If you ain't seen it, you know this ain't the same old Jazz in the day. A couple mistakes away from, taking it off. So it is what it is. I mean, not for me never gonna get his credit anyways. At the end of the day, it's all about us. We start.
And as I told Dewan Smoot, talk about a mic drop. It's all about us, as those towels said. And I think it will continue to be all about the Jaguars, not just about their opponent, although maybe matchups today, maybe that came into question, came back to bite them in the butt. But I appreciate that growth mindset, that championship mindset that Liam Cohen has tried to instill in each and every one of his players, independent of the final result, independent of who is lining up on the other side. A couple of Q&A questions before we get on out of here. Yes, little big man, thank you for reminding me. We needed to give a shout out here on Club 904 to Devin Lloyd, who was named a second-team All-Pro. Ross Matisic, a All-Pro once again at long snapper. Cam Little left off the All-Pro list. We'll debate that at a different time. Jasso says it's very sad that the Los Angeles Chargers and the New England Patriots are derping around right now, and one of them is going to get to play next week. Yeah, I would agree with that sentiment. C-Tally, do we believe that Coach Camp will be back next year at defensive coordinator? It is 9:55 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday, January 11th, while formally, Anthony Campanelli and Grant Udinski have not been requested by any of the 8 teams now with head coaching vacancies. My expectation is that they will receive requests, especially with the Jaguars now eliminated from postseason contention. Does that mean they get one of those jobs? I don't know. I don't know if today's result affects a team's opinion, because I am of the opinion that both of those individuals are incredibly dynamic and they could get into an interview room and win the interview and win over an entire franchise. That is my personal belief. And so it wouldn't surprise me if it happened. Do I think it will happen based off conversations I've had around the league? There's optimism that the Jaguars will be able to retain both of those coordinators, but we'll see. As more jobs have opened here in the last week, more opportunities for either of those two gentlemen, as well as plenty of other worthy coordinators and former head coaches looking for a second bite of the apple as well. Daniel says, excited for next year. I want to read your actual comment because it was so kind, Daniel. We appreciate you here in Club 904, always keeping us just feeling grounded, and appreciate you for that. In the end, I am excited for next year. I echo that. King David says, please, Mia, don't stop doing shows just because the season ended. Don't worry, David. We are not done doing shows. We may even have some special projects in the work here at Club 904 and the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. So keep it locked here for more of that. But look, folks, I understand you're disappointed. I hope that over the last hour, we've given you a time and a place to share your emotions with your fellow Jaguar fans in the comments. I hope that we've given you a space each and every Sunday at 9:04 p.m. for you to react to what has been a pretty monumental Jaguar season, independent of whatever happens next year and what unfortunately occurred in the 2 years prior. 13-4, first 13-win season since the 90s. You'd sign up for that every day and twice on Sunday if I told you that back in August, as Brent alluded to. And I know that's not the frame of mind you want to have. And I know this is not the last dance that many of you wanted to be having here on Sunday, January 11th. But I just walked out of that building. I'll tell you, I walked out of that building today with a sense of they are not happy. And I have not felt that way. From 2023, when they got eliminated and it was an epic collapse and everyone was shell-shocked. 2022, we're just happy because we were hanging there with the Chiefs. 21 and 24 after coach firings. 2020, we can go all the way back. Point being, like, this was a different feel. And from the head coach on down, they're not happy. And I think that's the best thing possible, because that, much like as they've vocalized over the last few weeks, that emulates this town. That feels like it doesn't get respect, that it feels like it is maligned as a small market franchise. And so that is where I have optimism heading forth into 2026. But time will tell, in the words of General Manager James Gladstone, and we'll see what pieces he adds over the course of the next few months as well. As we wrap this final post-game edition of Club 904, just want to shout out Brent Martineau and, of course, the crew at Action Sports Jacks, which you do get Brent in Austin, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., Monday through Friday. Make sure you keep it locked in with them. Shout out to Stuart, Marcel, and Olivia for always helping me for various little odds and ends when it comes to video editing and sometimes when we've done shows on demand. Shout out to all our friends of the pod who, of course, not only have joined us here in Club 904's debut season, but the friends of the pod over at the O'Brien NFL Notebook. Yes, we're going to keep it going, folks. Come on, combine tickets have been purchased. We're going to be giving you all the scoops this offseason that we can, not just in Jacksonville, but across the National Football League. Free 7-day trial. Subscriptions start at $5 per month. Shout out the home team here back in Jersey. Shout out to my executive producer up in New Jersey, Anthony Bonelli, who's always giving me great feedback. And shout out to you, clubbers, for hanging out with us on Club 904 on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. As Brent alluded to, we will be back Tuesday with a new episode, 1 o'clock live, so that we can keep you abreast on the very latest from the Jacksonville Jaguars, especially coming off of locker room cleanouts. Tuesday or today's Sunday. I don't know what day it is. Monday morning. Then we get James Gladstone and Liam Cohen on Wednesday, and we'll react to that in Thursday's episode as well. Until Tuesday at 1 o'clock. Thanks for hanging out with us. We will catch you later.